Yo, what up? It's your boy Raul. You're listening to The Sideline, a TPL podcast. That's right. This is another edition of our podcast, and this is how you can be a part of the game without being on the field. Yeah, alright. So, welcome everybody to this week's edition of The Sideline. Special edition. This one's going out to all the ladies, because we're doing this one for International Women's Day, which is Thursday, March 8th. We caught up with a few GMs. We caught up with some girls who've been subbing a lot. Didn't get a chance to talk to everyone, but hope you guys get a good idea of how much the women are contributing to this league. And if you get a chance, don't forget, big ups your women! Our first interviews with a couple GM ladies. If you ever wondered how to get a sub, how it all works, combo coming at you, Marissa and Agatha. This week's podcast is trying to focus on our ladies because it's a 3-3 league. And we have less ladies than men in the league. And, there's a lot of talk of, let's do some promo, let's get more ladies in the league so we can have a real league. And I agree with that. But I also think that we should appreciate the ladies we have. Because looking at the numbers today, we have a lot of ladies who are subbing and playing a lot. Which is great for everyone. Obviously, you enjoy playing, so you want to keep playing. But also, it's not really giving you a rest. So if you do end up with chronic pain, if you do end up with a nagging injury, it will never get better.
Oh.
But
do we get some sort of insurance or do we get to go for a massage? They should have one of those massage tables here. They should bring
just for the ladies.
Yes, they do it at tournaments. We're playing 3 games. That's like a tournament. That's true.
Exactly right. So and you're probably playing league on other nights of the week.
Yeah.
So how many games a week would you go play on average? Or lately, in the last month, because TPL's been going for a month now.
I don't know. I play every other week on 2 teams. So this week I play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What? That's it, and then Sunday.
And on Wednesday you play 3 times. 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Crazy. I'm in 3 leagues, and so today I played 3 games. Tomorrow I'm going to play 2, and I'm trying to play 2 on Sunday.
That's insane.
I did sub on Monday.
Insanely impressive, guys. That's really impressive. Your fitness, your dedication to the sport, and to your teammates to commit to actually being on the field that often for a league, where we're trying to play 3-3, and how if you didn't do this, we wouldn't have the league. Right? The reality is we wouldn't be able to do it. And then we would revert back to this archaic, patriarchal 4-2 ratio. Hardly mixed, right?
Well, so for me personally, I love getting more games in. When I come to TPL and I only get to play my own game, I'm kind of sad. Because I love playing.
Yeah. Feels like you don't even get started. Or
but also I like to hang out for the whole night. And if I play 2 of the games, then I'll just stay for the other one. I'll either stat keep or I'll just watch.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to the league and where the league's at and where it's gotten to. We talk about how much fun it is and how much community is involved, and you just really touched on a fantastic point where you have a really good time here. So even if you're not playing, you're going to hang out. This season for the podcast, we're trying to get more voices involved, do segments about different aspects of the league to incite a greater appreciation for the people who make this league as great as it is. And this specific podcast is about you ladies. Thank you so much for your contribution and your subbing. Specifically, I'd like to know now, you're both GMs.
That's true.
As lady GMs who know you will be requested to sub, how much does it play into your mindset when you're going into getting a girl to sub for you, for your team, and knowing that you're going to get requested? Do you guys pull favors for each other? Or, let's work out a better trade next week because I'll sub for your team this week? Or
So for me, I haven't had any of that. But if my game was the last game, I probably would not play both games before. I would play the game right before, but not both.
Okay.
But luckily, like this week, my game was the first game, so I played the other two. It's fine. It's no problem. I'm happy to play them.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that opinion. Like, if I am subbing before my game, then I will not play as hard. And I try to let the other GM know, like, I'm playing after, and I'm not going to be playing at my 100%. And typically, they're okay with that because they need winning.
Right. You know, as a GM, do you ever talk to your subs before the game and be like, I asked you to sub because I see this quality in you, I see this ability in you, and I require this because...
Nobody got time for that!
For me, but I mean, I do this with people on my team as well. And if someone's coming to sub, like for that day, they're on my team, I'll tell people, like, if I think they're better, like, cutting, I'll suggest that they cut on the field, or if I think they're better handling. Like, I try to get people to do what will contribute the most to the team.
Right.
I try to get them to play to their strengths. So that would, but I do that for anyone on my team.
This is very helpful. I'm learning as a GM what I should be doing.
You should listen to the podcast more often.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of
Yeah,
nuggets
I know.
of information.
I will, yeah, really learn how to be a decent GM.
I think you're doing a great job, Marissa.
You are.
Oh, thanks, guys.
So I wanted to know...
I know. What about taking subs because you want to scout them for your team? Who should be running the podcast?
I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks and Carter won't be back yet.
Oh,
We're looking for someone to take it over in
That's
2 weeks.
unfortunate. My life is way too busy.
Mars, like, I was only joking.
Yeah.
That was all
March
bluff.
break, I
Yeah.
travel, Carter's still away.
Yeah.
When you grab lady subs, you know, we noticed as we looked at the stats sheet, 69 sub requests in 4 weeks, but there's only about 35 names.
That
means
asked.
that are getting stats for subbing.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you who is being asked and refusing. I couldn't tell you GM's not allowing it, et cetera, because we all know there's other mechanisms that might get in the way of them getting confirmed as a sub. As a GM, when you are looking for a sub, will you go and take a chance on a sub with the optic and the idea of, this is like a free rental. I might want this person down the road, but I don't know who they are. And right now is a good opportunity to get them to sub for my team.
So I probably wouldn't do that. I would just stay and watch their game, as opposed to having them try with my team. I like to have people sub for me that I already know what they're like. And one reason I think you see the same people subbing over and over is that people are kind of trying to get, like, the best value out of their subs. So, like, when they ask someone to sub, they try to get sort of like an upgrade without getting an upgrade. Like, they want to get someone who's the same level but more
X factor.
consistent. Yeah, like, you know, and that's what I think, like, because you see the subs definitely are across the whole range of levels, but yeah, you see people who at their level just, like, play more consistently, kind of. That's what I think.
Marissa?
Yeah, I have a couple people that I always go to. I have, like, an ongoing Facebook chat, and I'm like, I need 2 subs. Who can make it tonight?
Those subs. It's
yeah.
a chat just with them.
Basically, yeah. But it's because I know that I maybe not have played with them, but I know that they're a consistent player and I can rely on them. And I mean, I would like to see them on my team, but the other GMs won't trade them to me. So kind of I'm scouting, but it's kind of a good opportunity to see how they would fit in. But I know that they're going to be reliable subs.
Right. I feel like we're all talking about trust.
Yeah. Another part of it is trusting that they will show up. Like,
Yeah.
So asking someone that you know, then you have some idea, like, from playing with them in the past, if, like, they're reliable to show up for the game. Like, that's step one, is, like, just being there. Not even, like, the reliability on the field with the disc. Just, like, showing up to play the game. Super important.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for taking time to talk about this. And I want to know, would you have any messages for other TPLers out there regarding how, or the best way we can thank our current ladies in the league for their participation, engagement, and contribution to allowing us to play 3-3?
I mean, the best way to thank me is keep asking me to sub. I just want to sub more.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first. TPL sideline. Agatha wants more games. She needs that PT. Marissa?
I think it's a step in the right direction right now, is just like recognizing this aspect of the game and all the other aspects that you guys are putting a lot of work into, and I think it's great. It's a great first step, and yeah, hopefully we'll get more women out and more subs and keep it going.
Talked about how 30-ish women are being asked to sub. How do we get the other ones involved?
Well, I think some of them are the ones that are kind of like perennially away, so they're not going to get involved.
Yeah, obviously, if you're not here, you can't sub.
But as for the rest of them, I mean, when I ask for subs for my team, I try to match as closely as I can. And I usually ask different people each week.
Sometimes it's a luck of the draw.
Yeah, and I mean also, like, maybe I want to ask the same person, but then they can't make it, so, like, I'll go through however many people. I usually ask a variety of subs.
Yeah, you try to cycle through.
Yeah.
But you don't try them out.
Well, I know a lot of people.
It's a little contradictory here.
No, I've already watched most people play. That's why
right.
I have a...
You heard it here first, everybody. TPL sideline. Agatha's watching.
That's right. Agatha's a creeper. No.
How about you, Marissa? Do you have any ideas on how we can get some other ladies involved? Because I think to build the community of TPL, to ensure that there's longevity and continuity in the 3-3 ratio, we need to make sure that all the ladies are having fun so that they want to come back next season. Because this was not a problem last season. So something happened between last season and this season. Now we have less women.
Oh man, I don't know. Bigger picture, but I think if you know someone who's not as socially involved, just grab them and see how their day is going. You know, get them involved and show them what the greatness of TPL is.
And what's the greatness of TPL for you guys?
I don't know. It's a really different league from any other league I've played. Like, the stats brings in this whole different layer, but then because of the stats, people are just more interested in watching. And so it's like its own little community.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's a little community. It's a great social time. You're getting exercise. It's all of the great things that, I don't know, you could ask for in working out and in social life. It's a combo bonus.
Combo bonus. I love it. We're going to coin that one. Thank you so much. You heard it here first. Sideline TPL podcast, combo. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a great night.
Thanks,
Raul. You
Raul.
Yeah, thank you.
See you later.
Have you guys ever wondered how you get picked as a sub? You know, sometimes it's not just how you play Ultimate, but it's who you know. We're gonna catch up with Diane Sepakishi now, who's gonna let us know how it was for her, and how she got started being such an active sub and member of the TPL community.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Raul. I'm here with Diane Sepakishi. How are you, Diane?
What's up? Good. Feeling good.
How many games did you play tonight?
Just one tonight.
Just one tonight?
Yeah, bit of an anomaly.
Yeah? Yeah, I can see that. I mean, in our stat sheet, it looks like you've subbed 3 times already in 4 weeks.
Yes, I was actually, today I was looking at my email, trying to see if there was going to be that last minute sub request, and there was nothing, so I thought, okay, guess I'm just doing one game.
Cool. And how do you feel when you get asked to sub? Talk us through the emotional response that you might have when someone asks you to sub.
I actually feel like it's pretty cool. I guess my first season in the league, no one really asked me to sub all that much, and it was kind of like, kind of a bummer, like no one's asked me to sub, and I think that's just because nobody knew who I was, really. Mm-hmm. And then started kind of last season, got more asked to sub, and this season we're down some ladies, so pretty much every week I'm checking to see if anybody needs subs, see what's going on, and all the GMs are super, I feel like they're really, really nice, really appreciative of you subbing in. Anytime that I respond back to them, they're always really happy. Even if I respond back and they found someone else, they still take the time to reply and say, hey, we got someone else, but thanks for replying. So I don't feel used and abused. I feel very much appreciated, and all the teams are really great about thanking their subs too, so that's pretty awesome.
So looking at the sheet here, you've subbed with Gosby's team.
Yes.
You've subbed with Marissa's team.
Yes.
And you've subbed with Chelsea's team, Chelsea and Dara. Out of those 3 teams, which experience would you say was the most positive and enough to make you want to sub again for them? I would like to know why as well.
I've had
Could be stats driven.
Could be stats driven. I think I had a pretty good game subbing for Gosby's team, and I really like him as a GM and a captain, so that's always fun. I do have a soft spot for Chelsea and Dara because I subbed for them to win the final in the last season, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, special that way, but it was also cool to sub for Marissa's team because I listened to her interview on the first podcast, so I got to know a bit about her perspective coming in as a first-time GM, and it was just nice to help out a first-time GM. And she's got a really cool team that my brother plays for. So I got to play with Matt, which is always a lot of fun.
The other Kishi in the league who, if you guys haven't done it yet and you want to know his story about Kieran and his theory, you got to go and find him because we're not going to talk about it on the podcast.
No, you got to go find that other podcast. Always good to play with my brother. So yeah, I don't know, positives all around. I can't really pick one or the other.
What about team chemistry? When you sub for 3 different teams and you play for a 4th team, you haven't been traded. So when you get on a team as a sub, because there haven't been the same teams, how do you, as a sub, get right into that team chemistry?
I guess I'm coming in as a sub. I always want to do well. Like, they've obviously picked me out because I am at kind of a certain level of play or a certain salary level. So I want to make sure that I'm playing up to that level, I guess. I don't want to let them down. I don't want to be like, oh man, they got this sub and really didn't have a good game. So I just try to come in with a lot of energy. If I'm subbing before my actual game, I like it as a good warm-up, get my energy up, just get in there. If I'm subbing after my initial game, I feel like I'm well warmed up and I'm just ready to keep going to help the team get some plays.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Diane.
No problem.
Have a great night.
You too.
Moving along, we're going to catch up with Jacqueline Staton, a TPL rookie who's already subbed a bunch. She'll talk to us about some really interesting things, and then we'll get some perspective from Heidi Sue, a TPL vet. Stay tuned, everybody.
Yo, what up? It's your boy, Raul. I'm here with Sideline TPL Podcast. I'm sitting here with Jacqueline Staton.
Yeah, really good.
How are you, Jacqueline?
I'm doing great.
And on my left, I've got Heidi Sue.
Yes.
Sue is easier because I've had Sue Mize before.
All right. Nice.
My mom made sure I knew how to say that.
Good.
How are you today, Heidi?
Great. Thanks.
Good. I'm really glad you guys are here today. This week, we're trying to talk to more ladies, more specifically, only our ladies, and more specifically, the ladies who are making this league possible. You ladies are here because I've noticed in our stat sheet that you sub quite a few times. How many times have you subbed?
A few times, exactly 2.
Right? Heidi, you've got 2, which is a lot because it's only the season is only 4 weeks old. If you've subbed twice, that means you've already played 2 more games than most of the other people, which puts you at a total of what? 6 games going into week 5. That's pretty good. And Jacqueline, how many times have you subbed?
I've subbed 3 times.
Cool. And talking about subbing, have you both subbed with the same teams?
I'm pretty sure I've subbed and almost played for all different teams nearly every game I've played. Because
Okay.
I've also been traded many times.
Right? And Heidi?
I've been subbing for the same team.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So, as a GM, I know if you get requested back as a sub, it's because they enjoy your services. Right? You're performing.
No.
If you don't get asked
I
back,
better do better.
if you don't get asked back, sometimes it's not a question of not enjoying your services. It's a question of the person you replaced is back.
Dang.
Right?
That's great.
Were you two
They
aware?
definitely enjoy your services,
I didn't hear
Jacqueline.
that. Thank you.
Most of the teams in the league only have 6 ladies.
Well, I knew we were very short.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how short.
So out of all the teams in the league, there are only 2 teams with 7 ladies on them.
Wow.
And every other team has 6. And all the GMs are given the option of getting a 7th lady for the game. Where we got to look at the opponent's ladies, go through their stats and pick through, get a lady that's in between, I think, ranked 5 and 6 to get as the 7th. And then it still has to be okayed by both GMs. And then the other GM has to do the same thing if they want a 7th. And then there are other rules for if it's just going to be 6 versus 7, etc. I was just wondering if you two had noticed how few ladies there were in the league.
Yes. Because it feels like you're consistently playing against the same or similar ladies every time, covering the same people.
I didn't notice it while playing, but I knew that coming in because there was a lot of announcements trying to recruit more women into TPL.
that too.
Yeah.
So we're trying to recruit more women to play TPL. We're trying to, outside of recruiting, I and Carter wanted to thank the ladies who are here with us this season. Because we recognize it's not always easy. You don't always want to play 3 games a night or 2 games a night. You know, every minute you spend out there on the field is another minute you could risk hurting yourself. And
Well, at least for me, because I'm substantially older than you.
No, 100%. I feel the injuries too. That's why I was
Right?
a little beat up last week.
part of that definitely was part of the thought process behind this. When you were on my team last week and we talked about how you said your knee was 50-50, I thought to myself, wow, I've seen Jackie on the field a lot lately, and she doesn't appear to have a acute knee pain. It's more like a chronic knee pain. And for me, when I hear about chronic knee pain versus acute knee pain, that's from overuse and or a nagging injury that's not being given the time to rest and heal, which really inspired me to go through with this research and develop the spreadsheet with all the different data points to show us who's doing what. And lo and behold, Jacqueline, you are subbing 3 times out of the 4 weeks. So 3 out of 4 weeks you've played 2 games. And you said this week you were asked to sub again?
I was, and had I not had something actually conflicting, I probably would have done it, even though I am still having the same kind of knee pain. It's a little less, because I've gotten a little bit more rest than last week, but for sure. Because I know that people are struggling to find people, so I feel almost bad saying no when I can.
That's mighty kind of you, giving up your body for TPL. As a wise man once said to me, play for the next 10 years and not the next 10 weeks.
I will never do it if I actually thought I was going to blow out my knee.
Fatigue sets in, chronic knee pain, and all that bad stuff. Heidi, how about you?
I think I've been okay so far. I mean, I am very conscious about what my body can or cannot do.
Right.
So I do try to make
Have you
sure.
turned down any sub requests?
I haven't, but I also haven't had 3 sub requests. So, yeah, no, I haven't.
Right.
For several reasons. One, I really enjoy playing with the teams that I've been subbing or even rostered with. So I haven't turned them down.
Right. Yeah, the nature of this league being a hat parity league really allows us to get to know so many different people in the community.
Absolutely.
Subbing is just another extension of that, right?
Totally.
About subbing, can you guys tell me a little bit more about your experiences? Any favorite GMs and or teams you've played with?
Oh, I don't know.
You go out.
You mean like this season or all seasons?
Let's go with this season.
Oh.
I know it's been short. We're only 4 weeks in,
Yeah.
but you've both subbed a couple times. You've subbed with Greg's team, Greg Kramer and Anthony Slater.
Which is the same team, isn't
That's
it?
that team. Yeah, that's the one team. And then who's the second team with?
Anthony Slater and Greg Kramer.
So you subbed with the same team twice. Okay, so you can't answer that question for who you might have liked, because that's yeah. I've got you here with Agatha and Patrick.
Agatha.
That team that's there right there.
Oh, great. See, it's really because they changed their shirt colors. So
Yeah.
it's hard to say. So, yeah, Agatha was really great. They were very aware of, like, their subs and just, like, thanking them for coming out and just really recognizing them both before and after.
Right.
And I think one thing that has been tricky for me, you know, switching teams a lot and playing on some different sub teams, they don't always stop, take a minute and be like, here's our plan as a team. And I know everyone's plan is similar, but there are some differences, and then they just expect people to go, and sometimes I'm like, I'm just kind of running around as a sub because I didn't feel like there's enough introduction at the beginning. So I think that's one thing that people could be more aware of for their subs, is just taking the time to be like, this is the stack we're running, and like, here's where we want you to cut. That kind of thing.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's been maybe one of the tricky things when I've been subbing.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great point. On that point, is there anything a GM can do to make you want to sub with them more before they even ask you? Like any teams you might see out there and be like, oh man, I want to play with those guys and that team.
Well, sorry, I haven't really thought that deeply about it, to be honest with you. I
Right.
think I've had really great experiences with the teams that I've subbed with, and they've been, you know, very, very inclusive.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, and I mean, for me, it's a little bit different because I have a bit of history with the GMs that I've played with. I mean, when I played with
What
them,
kind of history are we talking about?
lucky
Is this-
history.
Oh.
No, we played on the same team last season, right? And
Right.
we made it to the finals together. So
How many
I'm used to
TPL
that.
seasons do you have under your belt?
Oh, that one. I don't know. Maybe about 4 or 5.
4, okay.
Yeah. So,
Jacqueline, how many do you have?
This is my first.
You're a rookie.
So that maybe is
That's
part of
awesome.
why it's harder for me to I don't know everybody's name as easily, and it's not that people don't introduce, but when you're learning everybody's name I'm learning everyone's name for the first time when you have certain people that you would already kind of know, and so I think I'm struggling to learn everyone's names and get better at that, and then also learning how different people play. So it takes a bit more time, I think. Maybe that makes sense.
Are you enjoying subbing?
For sure. I definitely do. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm sounding it, but I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I think that's great. I enjoy your candor, and I think it's what's most important is as long as we're all still having fun.
And I want to celebrate for being a newbie to TPL. I've certainly been watching and playing against you. You get better with each game, and I think that's what's great about being able to sub as well as playing your regular rostered games.
Yeah, I think coming into this season, what someone told me was oh man, your cuts are gonna get so much better, and that's what I do, right? And it's true. I play also on Tuesday nights, and I can tell my game is better for that league even, and as well improving every week here. So it's pretty cool. I'm very happy that I joined. Yeah,
You're enjoying it.
Yeah. And I'm happy you joined as well because ladies like you make this league possible.
Absolutely. And we need more ladies like you joining.
Yeah, we need many, many, many more ladies.
Hopefully this podcast is going to be a beacon for future ladies to join TPL for the rest of this season, and also as a beacon to show our thanks to the ladies who are with us for the season already. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me tonight.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. That was fun.
Yeah, and to wrap it up for the night, we've got our last interview. Did y'all know I had a cousin in TPL? Talking about gender equity in the league, talking about the direction of Ultimate in Canada. Stay tuned, everybody.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Raul. I'm here at Sideline TPL Podcast, chatting with Dara Lowe
Hi.
and Janet Wan.
Hello.
Hey, did I ever tell you my mom's maiden name's Wan?
No.
We're like cousins.
I learned something new today.
It's crazy. The world is so small. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me tonight.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah? How are your games so far?
They're good.
Do you have any more?
Great.
Done? Done for the night?
for the night.
Done for the night. This week's podcast, we're focusing on the ladies. We want to talk to the ladies who are subbing. We want to thank you and get your impressions on your subbing experiences. Because without you, we would not have this 3-3 hat parity league. Let's start it off with Dara. You are a GM, and you're also a requested sub. Have you played any 3-game nights?
Yes. Last week, I subbed for 2 teams, and then I played for my game, of course.
In which order?
So I subbed, played for my roster game, and then subbed.
How did you feel you performed throughout that?
Oh, it was just all downhill. It was all downhill.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a GM and as a player, walk us through your thought process.
When I'm being requested to sub, I'll say yes, generally,
Yeah.
if I'm asked.
And
I
the
think-
reason behind that being,
I like to play, and we need it. We just need it in this league this season.
why do you feel we might need that in this league?
I mean, we're short on ladies. Every team at the beginning of the season had 1 wildcard spot open, where we usually play 7-7. So instead, every team was 6-7. So that kind of opens up a smaller pool to start from. Naturally, when people can't make their roster games, we need to ask for subs, and it's just a smaller pool to ask from.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a pretty precise and literal reason. I was hoping for something a little more philosophical, but we'll take
Nah.
it. We'll take it. Let's go with it. Maybe it's because Venus is in line with Saturn, and the ladies are playing in other leagues, or
Yeah, I hear all the time Mars is in retrograde, so
So that might be part of the reason.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the GMs are all assholes.
Oh man, I can say.
Oh, those darn GMs.
Janet, you've been asked to sub
Yes.
with 2 teams.
Yes.
Tell us about your sub experience.
Last week was actually the first week I got asked to sub. It was right after my roster game, and funny enough, I got asked to sub the last game of the night, but I turned it down.
You turned it down?
Yes, I turned it down. Sorry, Katie.
So you turned it down because you had prior engagements?
It was getting late, and I was tired after 2 games.
You know what that sounds like?
Complaining.
No, it sounds like Michael Huang didn't want to stick around.
No comment.
Okay, cool. And the second team you subbed with?
Was Dara's team.
Dara's team. Cool. So the two of you, having played together as a GM and as a sub, and you being requested as a sub, talked us through your thought process on when you're getting asked or requested as a sub. Talk us through how you go through getting a sub now.
To get a sub, we're definitely looking for sort of a relatively good match for the person that we're getting the sub for. Of course, we always try to maybe sneak a little upgrade in there if the other GM agrees. I know these are all insider trading tips, I'm sure.
So you just gotta butter them up.
Yeah. So of course, when we asked Janet last week, that's what we had in mind.
Okay, and Janet, when you are being requested to sub, how do you feel? Tell us a little bit about your emotional response and thought process.
Yeah, so anytime I'm asked to sub, always happy to do it if I don't have any prior engagements, just because I know how it's like to play when you're short on girls. It's not fun, and so any way you can help out to make that a bit easier on the girls who are playing, hopefully that will be paid back to you when you're in that situation.
Yeah, pay it forward. I love it. Yeah, and playing in a 3-3 league, I think it's a step in a really great direction for the sport and for Toronto Ultimate. I don't know if you heard last week's podcast. We talked briefly about gender equity with a couple male GMs and how between the three of us plus Carter and Nicole James, the dim sum restaurant, how happy we were that the league is being offered as a 3-3 and that Tuck is taking steps and considering offering more options for 3-3. Have you two played in other 3-3 leagues?
Yeah, Thursday league is 3-3.
Cool.
I have not. My Monday league is still 4-2.
Still 4-2. Okay. One of the things we talked about at Dim Sum was how
delicious the dim sum was.
Oh, so good. And then some. If we build a league around more male players than women players, it being a 4-2, do we alienate women and then shoot ourselves in the foot when it comes to changing and looking for a 3-3 league?
I mean, I think it's more of like looking at the positive where if you do have a 3-3 league, then it's just like positive reinforcement. It promotes women. It gives women more playtime. It's, I think, more enjoyable for sure. I like more playtime. I like getting more touches on the disc. So having that space and having that 3-3 model is just positive and good.
Yeah, build it and they will come, right?
Yeah.
It's all about building awareness and recognition that there are 3-3 leagues out there as well, because aside from TPL, I didn't know other leagues ran 3-3. I thought all the other ones were still 4-2.
Yeah.
So, the more that women find out, I think the more encouraged they'll be to actually seek out those 3-3 leagues, because it is a different experience than playing 4-2.
Ultimate is played with 7.
I'd choose to have a side where you played with 4 women,
right,
if you were on that side. And I know lots of teams who employed using that.
Which is, I think that's an Ultimate Canada step, where they made a gender ratio end zone. And it was predetermined at the start of a game, and then whoever's scoring from that end zone gets to choose the gender ratio. Have you heard of the new Australian interpretation of the new gender equity ratio rule?
No. Enlighten us, Ro.
I read about this recently, and you flip and you toss the disc and decide the ratio for the first point. So I win the toss. I decide the ratio is going to be 4-3, 4 men, 3 women. Points 2 and 3 are played in the opposite ratio. Points 4 and 5 are played in ratio from point 1. Points 6 and 7 are inverted again. And it goes back and forth that way. It does not change at halftime. And after reading that article and hearing about teams in Australia adjusting to that, I couldn't help but just, facepalm and say, why does it have to be so complicated?
Right.
How do you feel about that?
That sounded really complex and unnecessary.
I mean, it's hard enough keeping track of the points, what they are in general when you're playing, but to have to keep track of the gender ratio every 2 points just seems a bit too much. Like there has to be
a little
way
excessive.
to do it.
Yeah, and we brainstormed or even like spitballed about changing the number of players on the field so it would be more accommodating to an equal amount of genders on the field. Is that crazy?
I don't think so.
So would we go to 6 or 8?
6.
6, probably.
Because
More space for the 6 players that are on the field.
which would make the game.
Flow better.
So would that slow the game down or would that accelerate the game?
I think there would be less traffic.
For sure.
Okay. Well, I think we've gone off on a little bit of a tangent, but, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. We're talking about gender equity, and Tuck Parity going 3-3 is all about that. Thank you so much, ladies, for your contribution to the league, making this league possible, because without you, we would not be able to play 3-3.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Have a great night.
That wraps up this episode of the Sideline TPL podcast. Don't forget, March 8th, International Women's Day. Big ups your womans. Big ups to Jay-Z for the beats, Tupac Shakur, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, holding down the 6, bringing the beats, and all the ladies who contributed, all the ladies who sub, and to everyone who makes this TPL community special. Peace!